part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
And welcome to another edition of the Reghi and Roda podcast, powered by MGM Northfield Park, right here on the Press Play Podcast Network. Shout out to our producer, Chase Smith, making sure we get all of this out to you in the podcatosphere. And Michael Reghi, no Guardians talk today, no Browns talk. They're on the bye. They didn't do anything this week. All right, so we got to talk about one of the hottest teams in the NBA, your Cleveland Cavaliers. After beating LeBron James and the Lakers tonight, we're taping this on a Sunday night. Those Cavaliers now are 8-1, and they have run off 8 straight victories led by Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. They are fun to watch, Michael.
Yeah, well, Garland is, I think, developing into, one of the top point guards in the game. And Donovan Mitchell, for all of his time in Utah, Kenny, I think a lot of not just Cav fans, but NBA fans really didn't see a lot of him, but deluxe point producer, big time scorer. And he has shown all of that and then some in these first 9 Cavalier games. He is, he is quite the guy to be able to feel good about that leads your offense.
Michael, when they made the trade for him, I remember saying on the Kenny and JT show on 1480 WHBC, selfless plug, I said they got an all-star, but I don't know if they got a superstar, right? I looked at his game and seemed like, okay, maybe a volume scorer, right? Or he's got to have the ball, so he shoots a lot. I mean, he went for 50 plus points in 2 different playoff games. So averaged 36, I think, in a series, with Utah one time. So that we knew he could score, but does he have the all-around game? Does he play both ends of the floor? Can he, rack up 6-7 assists to go with the scoring, right? Mm-hmm. To really become that complete all-around player. And I know it's a small sample size, right? They're 8-1, that's 9 games. But he's doing all of that and then some, Michael, and he's leading this team. And here's the thing they didn't have against the Nets in the play-in series last year, not series, play-in game last year, and then the Hawks in the play-in game. They didn't have a closer, right? Mm-hmm. They did not have that guy that could go get them a bucket or a couple of buckets down the stretch like a Trae Young or a Kevin Durant to win either one of those games. And I think they realized that. And that's why Kobe Altman was, ultra aggressive and went out and made the deal for Donovan Mitchell. And again, it's early, but it's paid dividends early on. And I think we're going to see maybe not 32 points a game for the entire season, but he's going to be up in that, range for the entire year.
Yeah, he's a volume scorer. There's no doubt about that. And he's going to get his shots. He's going to get his shots every night. There's going to be nights he's firing it up 25 to 30 times. And that's fine. That's what the Cavaliers need. I said this before the season began. When I say it, it'll remind Kenny, I think as we go along here, right now, if you want a 9-game sample size for me, if you want to give in shoes, Donovan Mitchell is 6'2", okay. That's about a straight. It's a very, 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 very small backcourt.
Right.
Very small backcourt. I do think as time goes on, there's going to be some nights that's going to show up with him and Garland on the floor together on the defensive end. But so now here's where the coaching X's and O's start to come in. We'll see if that doesn't turn into an issue. Now, maybe you say, well, the 2 of them, on nights they have to, Mitchell will get 35, Garland will get 25, and they'll combine for 60 and just outscore the defensive issues. Well, yeah, okay. Okay, we'll see. But again, that's my thought, my overriding thought, that you're going to see it. Because we know what the NBA is, Kenny. Right. I mean, every team is looking for areas that they can take advantage of you. So we'll see. We'll see if that indeed becomes an issue, or maybe it's not going to be anything that, as we go forward, maybe it won't be anything that can derail the Cavaliers. But from an offensive standpoint, and you know how I feel, I know you probably don't agree with me on this, but I started saying it last year. I'd like to see Darius Garland pull back the shots a little bit myself. I really would. I'd rather him. I think his first job is he's got to be the facilitator. And again, I'm not saying that I'm not saying I'm looking for him to, obviously he's got the ability to do it, but boy, I don't know if I want to see him taking 25 shots a night too. I'm not real big on that, Kenny.
Well, right now, and it's because he was injured, right? 14 is his average per game, 14 shots per game right now. So you give me in the neighborhood of 16 to 18, I'm okay there. And if Donovan's 20 to 22, I'm okay there too. What I like from both of them is not only are they combining for points, Michael, but combined, they're giving you 15 assists a night too. Right. And, in this win over the Lakers, we're taping this on a Sunday night. D. Mitch goes for 33 points, 5 rebounds. So he was more of the scorer tonight against LeBron and the Lakers. Mm-hmm. Darius Garland went for 24 and 7 assists. Yep. And then Jared Allen giving you the double-double that you're going to need from him on a nightly basis. He went 16 and 11 tonight with 2 blocks. If he gives you 15 and 10 every night, I'm fine with that. So there's a nice threesome right there. The guy that I'm concerned with a little bit, and again, it's early, so the sample sizes, you can look at them both ways, the good and the bad. But Evan Mobley looks like the odd man out right now.
He's not playing well, Ken.
No, he's trying to figure out how he fits into all of this. DG and D. Mitch seem like they're okay in the backcourt together, right? And Jared Allen is that 5 guy, and he's going to roll, and they're going to lob, and he's going to get his rebound. So the guy I need to see get better in this offense is Evan Mobley, because he has to.
Oh, he can't be in these type of play. He just hadn't played well. No. He had a couple of decent games, but not at all what you'd expect. And conversely, the guy that most Cavalier fans are like, Karis LeVert's averaging 15 points, and you talk about assists, he's averaging 7 assists too, Kenny.
Yeah.
Karis LeVert, if you watch the game today, he had 3 or 4 drive to the hole, drive, draw, and kick for assist to teammates. So he's playing very good basketball. Very good basketball. Most Cavalier fans don't even want him around. I don't understand that.
I need him to be more consistent, Reg. He had 41, and that's why his average is as high as it is. He's only shooting 36% from the field. So I need him because he is a big part of this team. He will be a big part of this team. Yeah. So I need him to be more consistent. That was my concern. And I wanted to brush it off because of the injuries last year. He went for 41 and then he went for 1. You know what I mean? So, you can't go for 41. And I think he ended up with 1 point the one game, or 5 points, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. You can't have that discrepancy that far, apart from each other. But they need him to be. I
get you, but the bottom line, if he's going to average 15 and between 6 and 7 assists, that's a real good. I hope it's actually, if you got to get Mobley going,
right?
So that he's really. But if your fourth option offensively, if you're including Garland as the a guy in that top 3. If your fourth option offensively is giving you 15 and 7,
I'll take that.
That's huge. That's big time.
Yeah.
And his shooting percentage will come up, he's a 43% career shooter, and that's over 7 years in the league. So, it's going to come up. He's shooting the 3 pretty well.
Much better this year. Yeah. He's shooting better from 3. Well. From there than he is from the field overall. So that's the entire team, Michael, is shooting the 3 better. And Donovan Mitchell is one of the leaders there. I looked his numbers up, 44% from 3-point range. And you look at Karis from beyond the arc. I'm pulling up numbers as we're doing this. Let's see here. I think he's at about 38% from 3-point range. So, solid. That's solid.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, offensively, they look like they're going to be fine. I mean, again, you get Mobley going, and I want to see Jared Allen and Mobley, be rim protectors and be strong in the paint. I'm not expecting them to, turn into Bill Russell defensively, okay, but just again, you got to have that from your bigs. If you're bigs, if you're going to give them the basketball on the offensive end, which the Cavaliers do. I need strong performances defensively from both of those guys. And if you notice, Kenny, already, which I like, and this is really an 8-man rotation. And I had a feeling that this was going to happen. And, because JB Bickerstaff, I mean, you're going to have to play and earn your minutes. And he's playing Isaac Okoro about 7 minutes a night, which is good. Because to me, he hurts you offensively.
Yeah.
He hurts you offensively. Oh, he's great defense. No, he's not great defensively. He's decent. He's okay. But, I mean, again, I hear Cavalier fans talking like he's Clyde Frazier defensively. Stop it. No, he's not. No, he's not. He's decent, all right? It's good he's decent because I can shoot better than him from the outside. So, I mean, Kenny, I'm sorry, in this day and age, you could tell me all you want, but it's tough. This NBA now is it's a big time offensive game. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely.
If you don't have offensive skills, it's going to be hard for you to play a lot. Agreed?
100%.
Period. And he is middling at best offensively. And I think you see it. I know it's only 9 games in, but I think he's averaging about 10, 11 minutes a night. Now, that's not a big surprise to me. And I applaud J.B. Bickerstaff for that because you got to have offense, man, especially if you're playing him. You a 2 or a 3 in this league?
Yeah.
You got to be able to go get 20. I'm not saying you average that, but you know what I mean. Right? You got the capabilities to go and get in 20 every night if you're going to play 32 minutes a night. You have any belief he can do that?
No, none whatsoever. He's a role player. He's a bench player.
Right. And
he's your
5th overall draft pick, and that's a role player.
But you know what, Michael?
That's fine.
And I agree 100%. They blew that pick, but they hit on Darius Garland. The trade for Jared Allen was a steal. The Nets are an absolute mess. So where you miss on some, you hope to make up for others.
Sure, I'll give you that.
And the fact that they're saying, like you just said with J.B. Bickerstaff, all right, we drafted him 5th, but that doesn't mean we have to play him, and I'm not going to if he's not going to help us. And I like the way they're using him. Bring him in, offense, defense, late in the 4th quarter, get Garland out of there, put Okoro in, right, to give you a little more athleticism and size, with that 6'1", 6'1" backcourt, take one of those 2 guys out. Donovan Mitchell, he's been better defensively than I thought he was, Reg, from what I've seen so far.
He battles you, and I like that obviously the guy's a prolific offensive player, and we know how many we could do the whole show about offensive guys in the league that don't give a damn about playing D and won't give you the effort. That's not him.
Right.
He does that. So you got to like. And but listen, and back to again, Cavalier fans, I don't know why do you think, again, we're giving credit to Kobe Altman here?
Yeah.
Why do you think late last season Kobe Altman said, I got to get another guy in my 2-3 that can put the ball in the hole? Why do you think he went out and got Karis LeVert? What do you think that was connected to?
Isaac Okoro.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't get why Cavalier fans have such a difficult time understanding that.
They're forgetting him already right now, Reg, 9 games in. He's the forgotten man because Jetty gave you some good games early, and his minutes have declined, and JB, I think, is using him the right way. Dean Wade has emerged as a decent bench player for this team. They extended his contract. I was like, okay, well, you know what? He can hit the three. He gives you some defensive effort out there at times too when they need to get bigger. So
I like Dean Wade. I like him.
So do I. So
what's he getting? About 16 minutes a night? 16 minutes a night? Somewhere in there?
Dino, as my partner calls him. How about this? Dean Wade in 8 games this year, averaging 24 minutes
24 minutes a night.
Yes.
Okay, well, good. And he's earning them.
Yes,
he's earning them. He can shoot the basketball. He's and again, he's going to give you a lot of effort on the defensive end of the floor, and he'll battle you. So, and if he's going to wind up playing 20 minutes a night, probably they're looking for 10 to 12 points from him every night then.
And he's at about 9 points, I think, a game right now. So
there you go.
Right around
he
there.
Can give you that. I know he can do that. A Coral can't.
Yeah, he had a 20-point game already this year for the Cavs.
Right, correct. So they got a nice blend. They got and I'm giving a lot of credit here to Colby Altman for putting the roster together and the way JB Bickerstaff already. Again, he's in 9. Well, you can kind of see though, minutes wise, what he intends to do. You can see it already. That's why I said your bench guys really are Kevin Love, right?
Yep.
Get Kevin Love off the bench, and I mean your 8, because we know, Kenny, you and I used to laugh, go back to Pat Riley, right back in the day. Yeah. He said, probably I might play 9.
Yeah.
I really only want to play 8, and I'll trust 7.
Yep. That was it.
Yeah, that's it. And I kind of think that's how JB Bickerstaff is wired a little bit too.
All right, let's do this. Let's get a break in, Reg. When we come back, we'll talk about the other forgotten man that's going to be a positive for the Cavaliers, and we'll hear what LeBron had to say after the Cavaliers beat him for only the second time in 19 tries when he was playing for somebody else. We'll get into all of that as the R&R podcast continues here on the Press Play Podcast Network, brought to you by MGM Northfield Park.
Looking for new insights on the Cleveland sports scene with a unique side of Cleveland sports history? Then you found the perfect podcast. I'm John Sable.
And I'm Scott Sable, and we're hosts of the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, a podcast about Cleveland sports, but not your typical podcast about the land's sports teams. Join us as we embark on a journey of sharing a unique and historical side of Cleveland sports history with the help of some former Cleveland sports stars and other historical figures.
All right here on the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey everybody, it's Sam Amico from Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Be sure to give us a listen for all your Cleveland Cavaliers recaps, analysis, breakdowns, draft talk, free agency. The list goes on and on. Give us a listen, Cavs on the Break NBA podcast.
What's up everyone, I'm Holly Wetzel.
And I'm Tybus Powell.
And we are your hosts of the Orange is Oranger, a Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network. We give you all the dog pound coverage that you'll need to get you through the regular season, hopeful postseason, and I'd say off-season, Tyvus, but is there really ever an off-season for this team?
Thankfully for our podcast, Holly, there really never is when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. Don't miss our breakdown of each week's matchup, game recaps, and any and all news out of Berea to feed your Browns appetite. As we know, Holly, dogs gotta eat.
Yes, they do. So hit that subscribe button and never miss an episode of the Orange is Oranger, Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey, I'm Jason.
And I'm Gary, and we love ball cards.
And if you love ball cards too, good news. You just found your new favorite podcast. From breaks to grading.
And from collecting to flipping, join us on the Ball Card Show.
The sports podcast for the sports collector.
And welcome back to the Reghi and Roda podcast, brought to you by MGM Northfield Park. Northfield Park is your home for live and simulcast racing. Catch the excitement of live harness racing every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday evening. 6 p.m. is post time. Wager and win daily on top thoroughbred and harness tracks from around the world, with action starting right around noon. Plus, enter to play the free handicapping contest every Sunday for a chance to win cold hard cash. That top prize, $500. Registration begins 11 a.m. Free admission, free parking every day at Northfield Park. I'm Michael Reghi. As we tape this on our podcast again on a Sunday night, Cavaliers just defeated LeBron James and the woeful Los Angeles Lakers, who are now 2-7 to start the season, 114-100, the final in that one. Donovan Mitchell, 33-5. Garland, 24 and 7 assists. Jared Allen, double-double, 16-11. Kevin Love, 10 points, 10 rebounds, and he blocked a LeBron James dunk on a baseline drive in the game. Karis LeVert added a dozen. Evan Mobley, 5 and 7. He was in foul trouble, I guess, a little bit, along with Jared Allen, but he's got to pick that up. But hey, they get the win. LeBron goes for 27, 7 and 4. Anthony Davis, 19 and 12. Russell Westbrook coming off. Michael, they could give me Russell Westbrook for free, and I would say no thank you. Let him go play for the Cleveland Charge in the D-League. I want nothing with that mess that is Russ.
Most teams wouldn't and don't. You're right. And, I mean, Cavaliers don't need a guy like him, though.
No.
I mean, the Cavaliers have, like we just kind of went through, I mean, they got plenty of every aspect of the game that you need. You know, we know over the course of 82 games, you know, there's going to be some tough times, rough patches, but it feels to me like this team has the makeup to mentally and psychologically deal with that, Kenny. And a lot of teams, just because they're talented, you know, when the tough times hit now, like I said, then you know, in between the years, you start to see things kind of, people go run and hide, right?
Yep.
I don't get the sense that that's going to be a problem for this Cavaliers team. They seem pretty well tuned up and locked into how they've got to play to win. And I mean, I don't know how you couldn't enjoy it if you're a Cavaliers fan.
Yeah, they've won 8 in a row now. 8-1 is the record, second best record in the NBA, behind only the Milwaukee Bucks.
Correct.
Who they'll play November 16th in Milwaukee. LeBron, after the game, Reg, I pulled this quote from him after the Cavaliers beat him in LA tonight. Let's see where it's at. I quote, "I got in trouble last time when I was just giving an honest opinion about the Cavs during last season's All-Star break," James said with a smile, "but I don't care, so I'll give another. They did a great job in the offseason of picking up a big-time player. They have a really good team and a great coach, a well-balanced team, and a bunch of players who seem like they just really want to play ball." How about that from LeBron James?
And that's pretty apt.
I think so, too.
Everything that you just attributed his quote to, I think, is pretty much on the money. And that's why I like this team so much. I don't think and that includes Donovan Mitchell, who's going to be the guy that gets the most shots every night and is looked to do so. But, you know, I don't get the sense that he's a guy that's checking the box score after every game to make sure that his numbers are there, Kenny. He seems to me like he's about again being cohesive with everything they want to do, not just the offensive end, but again, winning is the main thing for this club. So if there's I think we have seen, didn't we see one game? What game was that? And I know it's only been one. He's been terrific. Didn't he have like a 4 for 18 in one of the earlier games?
I think he finished with 12 or 14 points, something like that. So he had an off game.
That's going to happen to everybody. But is he hanging his head and, you know, hang dogging and like, I didn't get my points tonight? Doesn't seem to me like he's that kind of guy whatsoever. It's all about coming in here and fitting in. He knows, and is that his main role? Well, yeah, his main role is to put the ball in the hole for the Cavaliers. You know, everything else that he does, and I think he's a pretty damn good all-around player, Kenny, but that's the main thing they need from him. Everything else is gravy, but I like the fact when he didn't have a good night and the shots weren't going down for him, and if I remember correctly, I think, you know, so that night his minutes were down a little bit because he just wasn't having a good game, wasn't playing well. And J.B. Bickerstaff is like, all right, you know, it's cool. We'll see if we can pick you up tonight, right? And it seemed like he's the kind of player, Kenny, that's not going to be a problem. And you and I know there are a whole bunch of them that's a problem when they're not getting their shots, right? And not being the focal point on every time down the floor offensively. But Mitchell seems like the exact opposite of that. So that's terrific to his buy-in here early on and right away.
I love it too. It seems like, you always hear the cliche, we got to build a winning culture, right? Culture is so important. Culture and chemistry and culture. Well, guess what? It looks like it, and again, it's early, but it looks like these guys enjoy playing with each other, kind of like the Guardians, right? This past year, it looks like, they understand their roles to this point, and it looks like they're pulling for each other. When Karras had 41 one night, Dean Wade had 22 the other. It didn't matter who got the points, just so they got the win. And Michael, in a league of divas and egos that sometimes don't fit inside some of these arenas, that's rare for an entire team to feel that way. Now, you made a great point earlier. There are going to be bad times, people. All right. They're not going to win 8 in a row, lose 1, win 8 more in a row. There are going to be times where they lose 3, 4, maybe 5 in a row. Right. And we'll see, if they fracture at that point in time or if they stay together. But I think they're going to stay together because they seem to like each other, enjoy playing with each other. And I think JB Bickerstaff, he got the junkyard dog chain tonight after the game. I guess he gave a rousing halftime speech to them as they were down 6 points at halftime. So Kevin Love broke protocol and gave the junkyard dog chain to the head coach, JB Bickerstaff, today. So, that shows that there's something there as well, Michael.
There's no question about that. And that's why we went through. Doesn't seem like there's going to be a lot of ripping apart at the fabric when of who they are and what they know they are and how they have to play in order to be successful. And Kenny, I feel good about the fact that this is going to continue to even get better. Quite frankly, I'm not going to say who knows what that means about how it's going to wind up, how many wins. Well, I just know this. I really like, again, how they're woven and how they're looking to do this. And it seems like, as you just pointed out, there's nothing about that one or two guys got to be the guy every night. To me, again, when you count Kevin Love, as we know, even though because Love can, he can still go in and have one of those nights where it's rolling for him and he can come in and just, boom, get you 20 off the bench just like that. So, to me, you got every key ingredient from an offensive standpoint. Again, Evan Mobley will get going. You got to get him going. He's really the only one right now that isn't getting it done offensively yet, right? And yet they've still been able to go 8-1.
How about that? That's the great thing about it.
Yeah. So the guy probably many thought that would be probably the second guy with the best offensive numbers behind Mitchell, right? I would think when the season started, I would have said, if you'd asked me, I would have said, probably, Evan Mobley. I can see him averaging 17, 18, hopefully is 8 to 10 boards. And so it hasn't been that as of yet. He's off to a bit of a rough start, but again, they're 8-1 with a guy that you thought would be one of the prime ingredients off to the slowest start of anybody. So if you got to feel good about it.
That's what he's averaging right now, 15-6.
Mobley.
I was expecting, 18-10. You know what I mean? So
sure.
And that adds up over the years. So we'll see. For me, it's going to be Mitchell and Garland, that backcourt. They're going to have to get you, like you said, minimum 55 every night, as I was doing some numbers in my head. Okay, 30, 25, somewhere in that vicinity. That's what I'm expecting. 29 and 26, something like that. So that's what I need from them. And then I need Mobley to be that third leading scorer on this team. And so hopefully that will come in time as everybody tries to fit together. And then, Reg, the forgotten guy that I teased going into our last break that won't be back at the earliest December, maybe January, probably at the latest February, and it's their weakest part of the team, in my opinion. It's the backup point guard spot right now, and they're waiting for Ricky Rubio to heal from that torn ACL from last year. They brought him back. Raul Neto, not a fan, but he's there to, he's kind of, the way I look at Raul Neto is the way I looked at Brian Shaw for the Guardians this past year, right? He was there to eat up innings when they needed him to eat up innings to save other guys. Well, that's what I look at Raul Neto as, the Brian Shaw, if you will, of this team, to, take some minutes from, Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland to give them a breather here and there until Ricky Rubio gets back. And when Rubio gets back, that's another guy I think that, based on what we saw from him last year before he got hurt, Michael, if he can come 80% close to what he was given last year, that'll be a huge boost to this team coming off the bench and allowing them to rest D. Mitch and Garland, so they're not having to play 38, 39 minutes every night.
Now, I've always liked Ricky Rubio. Yeah. Pro's pro. Hell of a player. He's played on, the Minnesota situation, wasn't good but Rubio has kind of like, he can have a calming influence when things need him, Kenny. Yep. Again, to me, when I say a guy's a pro's pro, well, then I got the utmost respect for him and how he conducts himself. And again, he may not be a mega star, but the man, he gets it and he understands what his role is going to be. So, yeah, I mean, that should do nothing but, absolutely give JB Bickerstaff another avenue that he can go down with a guy that, he knows, pro's pro, that he knows is going to, when times get tough, that he can turn to, and the guy's going to not only play well, but have a calming influence on everybody too.
Amen to that. And how about this, Reg? I was just looking at the roster. Garland, 22. Mitchell, 26. LeVert, 28. One of the veterans on the team. Mobley, 21. Allen, 24. Osman, 27. Wade, 25. Okoro, 21. The Grizzly old vets, Love, 34. Lopez, 34. And when Rubio comes back, 32. So this is one of the youngest rosters in the NBA. And while we're excited about this year, we should be even more excited about next year and the year after that, with this team only getting better and gaining, hopefully, playoff experience this year when the playoffs roll around. Notice I didn't say play-in games. I said playoff experience, because I'm expecting this team to be one of the top 6 teams in the East and make the playoffs for the first time without LeBron James since 1998.
Well, if we're looking 3 years down the road, the next couple of years after this one, I think that to me there should be an opportunity to play for an NBA championship within the next, I'll say, including 4 years. So that'd be 3 more years after this one, because I would think you just laid out the ages there, Kenny. I got to believe that this is kind of part of the game plan for Kobe Altman, don't you think? That this roster right now, in other words, I don't see, unless something were to go terribly, terribly wrong, and that's not going to happen. They got Donovan Mitchell, so there's your big move.
Right.
Kenny, I don't see big moves coming, and I hope there isn't, because that's saying that this roster, as we just discussed, got a chance to play for something real significant, i.e. the NBA championship. So I'm hoping that that's the reality here in the next 3 to 4 years, including this season, of course.
I'm looking at, let me try and get this while we're here. I'm looking at Donovan Mitchell's contract, Reg. That's the one that, that concerns me a little bit. $30 million this year. 33 next year, 35 after that. So they've got him for 2 more years guaranteed after this, and then it's a player option in 25, 26. Okay. So guaranteed for 2. Right. Hopefully he loves it here, and this team is creating something special where he will not want to leave. And the one thing we'll say about Dan Gilbert, if they're in it, right? They got a chance to win. He'll spend into the luxury tax to keep people and go out and get people here. So hopefully by then, if Donovan's wanting a contract extension at that time, the Cavaliers are challenging for a championship, and Dan will spend the money as he did, previously whenever LeBron was here and they had a chance to make a run.
Well, let's hope that is the MO here. Like I said, I'm counting this year, and I'll go 3 more years out after this year with this roster. I would think that's the hope. That, again, counting this year, that in the next 4 seasons, they win an NBA championship. With this group right now as your team. I mean, this is your team. This is the team that should be put together to do just that. And I believe that's the thought with Kobe Altman and JB Bickerstaff. Don't you, with this group?
Absolutely. Yeah, Michael Mitchell, if he picks up his player option through 26, okay. Jared Allen, now last year of his contract, which is a steal, $20 million through 26. Garland just re-upped, so he's through 27. Mobley's through 26 with the tail end of his rookie contract. So those are the main pieces, and they're the only ones that are really locked up through there. So those are the guys they're building around. So yeah, you look at this, hey, would it be an unbelievable story if they were to shock everybody and win it this year? Yes, realistically, that's probably not going to happen, but baby steps, or maybe, not baby steps, bigger steps, right? Little kid steps where you win a round and get to the second round and get that experience now that you have a guy that's been in the playoffs before that can close for you in Donovan Mitchell. So a lot of positive things to say about this team. And Michael, I can't wait to watch them every night. Tomorrow, we're taping again. Sunday night, they got the Clippers tomorrow. So I can't wait to watch them against the Clip Joint. They don't have to move anywhere, stay in the same hotel, play in the same building, back-to-back games, and then Sacramento and Golden State before they come home. So I'm looking forward to watching this team play throughout the year.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. You see how they evolve together. And that's the thing I like to, especially in basketball and in the NBA, how does a team that and does have a lot of, high expectations, how do they evolve? How do they piece because you got, when you bring Donovan Mitchell in here, and really he played 13 games last year. So this is Karis LeVert's first year with this team. And when he got here last year, he wasn't even 100% healthy, and he only was able to play 13. So, I mean, this is what you hope. Hey, look, if it comes down to maybe having to add a piece, okay, yeah, sure. But I don't think that it's just going to be a piece that can do a certain thing, a certain faction of the game that helps you, Kenny. I just don't think that there's going to, be the necessity to say, well, we got to go make a 5-player deal, to get this. They've done this. This is what they are, and it looks like it's going to be damn well enough to take them where they want to go. Yeah, right. I mean, that's the way I feel about the way they're constructed right now.
They're shooting better from 3-point range, 40% as a team, 80 from the line. How about their diff? A 12. What is it? Plus 12.3.
That's pretty amazing.
It is. It was tops in the league the last time I looked. I don't know if that's changed or not, but a plus 12.3 diff. That's pretty impressive, meaning you're scoring and getting it done. And tonight, in that game against the Lakers, they held them to 16 in the third and 20 in the fourth. So 36 points in the second half with LeBron James on that team. So, and I know the Lakers are struggling, but still on the road. This is your second road game of a 5-game road trip, 4 of them on the West Coast. We'll see how they do tomorrow, right? And the Clippers are going to be a good test for them, especially in a back-to-back situation. But, this is going to be a fun season, Michael. Can't wait to catch some games in person at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse and then watch the other ones on my Bally Sports app so I can take it with me wherever I go.
There you go. You'll be locked in, Roadman.
Absolutely. And I got my guy. I got my, Michael Reghi, it's just one of them things. They're working hard. They're playing defense like we used to do back in the 90s when you were doing the games and whatnot and all and stuff. And, you just better buckle up, Buttercup. Here come the Cavaliers. Brad Daugherty, man.
Yeah, man. Brad. He puts it out there. He puts it out there.
Before this game, the other night, they were talking and they showed a Lakers score, and the Lakers they were getting crushed. And Brad said something like, you know what? The Lakers are so bad they couldn't play dead in the Western.
You just mentioned the 90s when I was calling the Cavalier games on the TV side. If you would have told me that ultimately, about 10 to 12 years from now, Brad Daugherty is going to be your color analyst partner, and he's going to be a color analyst, I would have said, what are you smoking? Because back then, Brad didn't even want to talk to anybody,
Yeah.
So I'm happy for him, and it's something that I think he does a good job.
I do too.
He's good at it. He's not afraid, as you just pointed out, to make you laugh a little bit and have a little bit of fun. And it's good to see that he's decided to get into the color commentary world with the NBA.
Yeah, he's doing some NASCAR as well as NBA.
NASCAR. That's his number one, NASCAR.
He and Larry Nance love their dragsters, their racing, and their NASCAR and everything like that. So they were great teammates. They had a lot in common besides basketball back in the day. So, you know what? We're gonna have to reach out, and try and get some of those guys. We talked with Mark Price last year, right? We got to reach out to Larry and Brad now that he's doing stuff, and get some of the guys on to talk about it, because that's still one of the best teams never to win an NBA championship, in my opinion, back in the day.
Yeah, man, they were good, and they certainly, and again, they weren't the only one, though. I mean, at the beginning of it, it was Jordan and the Bulls, and then at the end of it, it was Isaiah Thomas and the Pistons. Right.
Yep, the bad boys. Ricky Mahorn going upside Mark Price's head, giving him a concussion, knocking him out, all that stuff. So, it's one of those things, Michael, where, if we just could have overcome, Michael Jordan one time, there's no doubt in my mind, that, we would have won a championship like I did with, downtown Freddie Brown and Gus Williams and Dennis Johnson in Seattle when we cut down the nets there.
Lenny was a very I think he was a perfect coach for that group, to be honest with you. And because those guys were all those guys we mentioned, Price, Daugherty, Nance, Hot Rod Williams, Craig Elo, they were just all basketball players, man. It wasn't they didn't, and Kenny that's when it kind of started there during that time, more into the 90s actually. Yep. But the NBA kind of became a little bit of pomp and circumstance, if you know what I mean, a little bit too. And maybe there were some guys that I used to talk to. Those guys were former Cavaliers that some of these guys really care about winning. No, not really. It's about making that big money. Not the Cavalier guys, but there were certainly guys in the league that winning was one of the, it was the money, the party, and all that went being with an NBA player. And and your points and your shots, of course. And winning was way down on the list. That was none of that. None of that was with that Cavalier group. Those guys were, you could have put that team, that group in the with the the 60s and 70s Celtics and 76ers, those teams that were just straight up about hardcore NBA hooping and winning. And if you didn't win, you weren't anything anyway. So who the hell cared about you, right? But they definitely were they definitely were beyond their time in terms of how they were put together. But a lot of credit to that goes to both Wayne Embry and to Lenny Wilkins.
Absolutely. Let's hope this team, though, able to achieve something they didn't, and that's another NBA championship, which would be the second for the Cavaliers. All right, Reg, a lot of fun. Anytime you and I get to talk Cavaliers and only Cavaliers, man, it's always a blast, and they're giving us plenty to talk about, and we'll continue to do that here throughout the year on the Reghi and Roda podcast. Of course, the Browns back in action next week,
Miami.
So we'll get back. Yeah.
They're playing. The Browns go down to Miami, right?
Yeah.
He had a big day today. I think he threw for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. They went into Chicago and roughed up the Bears. So Miami's a good football team. So I hope the Browns are using their, their bye week wisely and starting. I guess it's Tuesday or Wednesday. They're going to have to really, like Brad Doherty says, right? You better buckle it up, Buttercup. The Browns are going to have to do that to go down to Miami and deal with a very good Miami team next week.
Yeah, and we'll break that down after the game on Sunday night here on the Reghi and Roda podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network. To all of our listeners, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do so on the Press Play Podcast Network. We appreciate everybody out there that tunes into the R&R podcast, and we appreciate our producer, Chase Smith, making sure this gets out to you. And Michael and I will be back for another one after the Browns and the Dolphins next week. See y'all.